ialah untuk pembubaran parlimen. That's what our SD stood for when we met yang di Pertuan Agong. Tetapi oleh kerana Agong meminta supaya dalam keadaan COVID-19 ini, dengan ekonomi begini, dengan saham jatuh, segala macam ini, minta supaya kalau boleh wujudkan satu kerajaan yang boleh diterima, maka gabungan politik itu berbincang semula. Tetapi, bear in mind, UMNO stand was going for election. Even now, our stand is always for dissolution of parliament, return back the mandate to the people to choose the next federal government. So as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of difference. But moving forward, I agree with my brother Nelson. Let's move forward. As I said, the first thing is anti-hop. I don't necessarily agree with Nelson in his interpretation. I still believe that the individual mentioned in the Constitution is meant for ordinary citizens. For you, Dr. Arnold, mau jadi ketua cawangan UMNO, ketua cawangan APCO, ketua cawangan DAP, as long as it's a legal entity, go ahead. But wakil rakyat, you don't have a right to decide on your own. You have to go back to your constituents. Then say, hey, you voted me in, I cannot be just moving around representing you. That is a fallacy. Itu adalah pada saya, satu perkara yang tidak betul. Saya setuju dengan Syazali tadi. I like that idea of non-participation in political parties. In fact, non-partisan, yeah? I agree with that. In fact, just want to let you know, dalam satu satu sesi perbincangan di antara pemimpin BN sebelum kami kalah, saya telah membuat satu cadangan bahawa UMNO ni terlalu besar. 3.5 million people, members. It's too big as a party. Bila sudah terlalu besar, bukan saja soal gerakan, tetapi untuk mengubah fikiran. Dia macam super tanker. Untuk mengubah haluan, UMNO ni, super tanker ni untuk buat U-turn pun mau setengah jam. You know, that big of a tanker. So I believe, and I told the Prime Minister then, that UMNO should now move towards activists, volunteers. Those are non-active members. Because then, kita mau manage kita punya parti pun senang. But I like your idea that I agree. Choose the right person. Don't be affiliated to any political party might have a self-interest at heart. So, orang Sabah kena buat begitu. Kita kena fikirkan mana yang boleh. Mana orang yang boleh. Not just the party, but the individual representing the party. That's why I'm not a believer in anti-hop. Moving forward lah, Nelson. The past is past. Moving forward, we should stick to it. And then kita kena boleh bina sebuah kerajaan yang lebih efektif. And don't look at pembangkang sebagai musuh. Di dalam Sabah ni, bila you pembangkang saja, you macam outcast. Kalau di kampung tu, kalau kita ketua pembangkang saja, ketua cawangan pembangkang, kenduri kahwin pun tidak kena bawa. You know what I mean? Kalau duduk pun, walaupun dia ketua cawangan, kalau boleh duduk di tepi-tepi, kalau boleh di tepi-tepi tandas dia duduk. Tak boleh. So, for us to move forward, we are all politicians. I'm pembangkang now, and I'm proud to be opposition in Sabah. That's why saya tidak melompat. Sebab I want to tell the people of Sabah, even as an opposition, kita mempunyai satu tanggungjawab yang cukup besar memastikan pembangunan dan kepentingan rakyat dijaga di negeri Sabah. Nothing wrong to become opposition. In fact, I'm happy. Tak payah lagi bangun pagi-pagi pergi kerja. I'm okay. And then, I play FB macam Datuk Seri Najib. But the point I'm trying to say, we must understand that dalam sistem demokrasi, kena ada pembangkang, dan pembangkang itu tidak perlu dilihat sebagai satu musuh yang perlu dibunuh, politically dibunuh, dan dihina, dimalukan. Tidak perlu. I think this is what we should do.
Dia cakap Datuk Kerajaan sudah apa? Jawapan sudah apa?
Wow, I want to tell you, I will stand. Thank you, Nelson. But, for me, sebagai salah seorang pemimpin UMNO Sabah, I want to tell people of Sabah, kita di Sabah, UMNO Sabah, masih lagi pembangkang kepada kerajaan.
Okay.
Even though there is a Perikatan Nasional up there in pusat, kita membuat keputusan bahawa kita masih lagi jadi pembangkang. Kita melihat Perikatan Nasional ini adalah satu ikatan sementara sampai PRU 15. Dia bukannya ikatan parti, tetapi ikatan ahli-ahli parlimen yang cuba untuk menyelamatkan keadaan dalam keadaan darurat sekarang ini, kita perlukan kerajaan. Maka kita pinjamkan ahli parlimen UMNO dan Barisan Nasional untuk menubuhkan kerajaan. Tetapi in no way politically that UMNO will collaborate with Bersatu. Okay? We still want to become a very strong check and balance entity to the government, even to Bersatu. So I will see you in PRU 15.
Wow.
Bersatu. UMNO Sabah will still be proud as an opposition, and will treat Bersatu as our political sparring partner lah, not enemy lah, opponent lah. Ya. Tetapi penyatuan di peringkat nasional di Perikatan Nasional Kerajaan Pusat ini adalah satu gabungan ahli-ahli parlimen, tetapi bukan menggabungkan parti-parti politik. I foresee dalam GE15 UMNO dan PAS masih lagi berdiri atas muafakat nasional dan akan bertanding against any other political party out there.
Okay, Nelson, anything that you want to comment on and praise and things like that?
Yeah, all right. Okay, thank you, Doctor. Okay, on my part, talks about tadi Datuk Abdul Rahman ada mengatakan berkaitan dengan keputusan APCO dalam GE14 baru-baru ini. Of course, I'll admit, there are some who criticize the move, but there are also some who actually supported the move. It's a matter how you look at it. But on our part, of course, I will say this. I'll be honest. At that time when the decision was made, it was made based on what we believe was the right move. Then, you don't have to agree with me.
Sure,
of course, nobody's. What I'm saying is that at that time, it was decided. It was decided after looking at the scenario at that time. We see that the majority of people wanted to have change. They want to experience change in Malaysian concept and in Sabah concept. If you look at the popularity vote then memang popularity vote wanted to have change. Actually, a lot of people say that, of course, at that time, there was already a majority government. Actually, there is no majority government. How I interpret the constitution is that it was a hung state assembly, 2029. Of course, history shows that, of course, STAR moved towards Barisan Nasional. Datuk Rahman just now go to the context of the case lah, we call it the chief minister's case. Even though there is already a judgment, Datuk go towards the judgment. I will not talk about the judgment, but what I understand, I'm not criticizing, I'm not going to give my opinion of it, tapi apa yang saya faham, saya ada membaca juga sedikit sebanyak berkaitan dengan keputusan. Apa yang ada tertera di sana, di mana, ya betul, tidak Ketua Menteri pada waktu itu, Tan Sri Musa Aman tidak berletak jawatan. That is true. But what was decided, I believe, was that our TYT actually requested for the Chief Minister to resign. Because the TYT believed that the Chief Minister then has lost the majority. So under the Constitution, that when he lost the majority, he should tender his call for election, bubar, ataupun resign, where the cabinet will resign automatically. But because there was a refusal on the part of the CM then to resign, then the TYT, believing that he has already lost the majority, correct me if I'm wrong, lost the majority, then therefore he took it that, so they resigned lah. Of course, that is a contention for the court. Until now, I think the court has made a decision saying that what the TYT did was correct. Because it goes to the TYT, follows the constitution, whether you lost the majority or not. I would not go into that, but of course, Datuk Rahman mentioned that. I have to give my opinion on that lah, based on the judgment of the court. Itu satu. And on the decision of APCO, I'm going back again. Why we did what we did. Again, like I said, it was based on that the majority of people want to change. So when there was a hung parliament, when there was a hung state assembly, there was no majority government, there was no government that won. No one particular group, no one particular political party won a majority. And because of that, we decided as such. So, of course, I have people coming to me. I'll be honest, ada yang cakap dengan saya, orang cakap ini, okay, they are not happy what has happened, they've gone through this, why did you do that? But there are some also saying that, you did the right thing, we wanted to experience this. At the end of the day, what I'm saying is that what we did, mungkin ada yang tidak appreciate what we did now. But I'm sure in the future, some or most would appreciate what we did. Because of what we did, Sabahan has experienced change. Some who opposed what we did, they debate with me, and I said that you will not be able to say all this in front of me now. You will not be as matured or as experienced as you are now if you don't experience this, isn't it? So because of what we did, you have experienced it, you are more matured, you have experienced change, then you can decide whether you like what you're experiencing or not. But if we did not do that, that question will always remain. The majority will always feel that, yeah, we wanted change, but we didn't experience it. So we give you that experience. You are more matured because of that. You can give your view towards me. We can actually have a healthy debate. So for me, of course, those who support, I said thank you. Those who did not support, I hope that one day, then they will appreciate after certain period. Okay, I will not go into that again lah, Dato'. All right. Okay. So the next one, sorry, saya ada lagi a few things. Ini round up belum ini kan? Okay.
Probably another debate on that.
I stopped that. Okay, in 1994, I agree with Dato'. In 1994, Dato' cakap resign, but I need to emphasize the previous, why Dato' Tan Sri Dato' Pairin then resign, I think is because, yes, he lost the majority. He lost the majority because certain YBs have jumped. I agree, Dato' Chap said, Dato' belum ada politik, saya pun belum ada dulu, but I can share you this, Dato'. I remember that time, saya tidur di luar tuh rumah CM satu malam, masih budak lagi saya. I actually followed my father lah, and I actually slept it. I have actually experienced first hand bagaimana tuh YB kena kurung di rumah dulu. So, yes, it's a different scenario in 1994. It's a different scenario in GE14, and even recently, it's a different scenario. Why I said it? Because at the end of the day, I think Dato' agree, and I also agree that we must move forward. I believe we must move forward. Okay, but even recently, Dato' Chap tidak ada lompat, but the matter is, yes, the situation has changed. Because in GE14, people voted because of groupings of politics, ideology of politics, yeah, how they wanted it. Then when the scenario changed recently, when Pakatan Nasional came into power, the scenario has changed. The people did not consider that scenario when they voted the government in GE14. So because the scenario has changed, like I said lah, it's open lah. Whether that is what the people wanted in GE14, that I think people will have their own answer to that. So again, this PH government, why APCO decided to actually support this PH government is because, yes, we accept the fact that, we were part of the NDEC. We did not, the mandate given to the majority was not the mandate given to APCO. We understand that. But the decision that we took, like I said, it's because we wanted to respect what the majority wanted. They want to experience that. Let us give them that. That was the decision then, Dato'. So now because of what had happened, the PH government, they've only experienced being in a government, I think 21 bulan, if I'm not mistaken, 21 bulan. Now the new government, PN are saying that give us these three years, we can change that, we can prove we can be a better government. But why don't you allow the PH government to continue for 5 years? If the PN government believe that they can do better in 3 years, why can't you take the same token of allowing the PH government to continue, and perhaps 3 years, it could satisfy a lot of people who are not satisfied of their performance. I'm not saying that they did not perform, I'm just saying that there are those who are not satisfied. But what I'm saying, mau kira sampai separuh masa pertama pun belum lagi. They could change separuh masa kedua. But because the government, yes, I understand.
Failed. There was no government.
I understand the government failed because, I don't want to name names, but the government failed because our politicians played politics.
Correct.
Political parties, maybe, it's my opinion, political parties in the opposition, they have played a role also in creating the uncertainties. I would even say to the extent of provoking, I would say. Because of, we were always talking about either this should be the Prime Minister or this should be the Prime Minister. Then another independent saying that, no, we want this. A third party is saying, so that's why I said that, as a whole, the politician, what I'm saying, politician plays a lot of role in guiding our society, guiding our country
towards mature politics.
Then again, when we talk about mature politics, again I go to the maturity of our voters. My learned friend here said that even when our voters voted for the government in the last election, they were not matured lah.
That is not a sign of maturity.
That's not a sign of maturity. But then again, I throw this question: who would be in a position to say whether the decision or the choice of the rakyat is the best choice, is a mature choice? Nobody. I may have my own views. Some may disagree with my views, but it doesn't make me that I am outright correct in my views. Yeah. Same with the rakyat. That's why we have this system. That's why we have democracy. The majority always wins. Who are we to say that, no, you are wrong. What you decided, even though you are the majority, you are wrong. Nobody has that position to say that you are right or you are wrong. but we listen to the voice of the majority. That is our system, and that is what we have decided to follow, isn't it? So at the end of the day, like I said, the voice of the people that matters. But sadly, in our country, recently what happened, it's a decision of 112, 113, 114 who decided. So I don't know. So I think I'll just end it at this, sekarang buat masa ini.
Okay, thank you. So, Brother Sajali, yes. Anything that you want to comment on specifically or raise in this round?
Yeah,
this final round. Yeah.
I noticed that everyone seems to be very optimistic about our maturity, right, as a system, as a democracy, as a populace. And I've taken sort of a different standpoint in that regard. I'm not saying that we're immature, but I'm saying that there's a lot of things we can do to actually strengthen that concept. Now, here's food for thought. And I just Googled this just a moment ago, all right? Remember back in 2018, the ICET, there was that introduction, the attempt to introduce ICET. Okay, and this is in the context of maturity here. Now, many countries ratified the ICET. We all know that. In fact, based on the facts, 55 members of the Organization of Islamic Countries, OIC, have ratified the ICET, and this includes Saudi Arabia. Now, the OIC has 57 members, which means 2 countries did not ratify it. Malaysia and Brunei. Okay? Malaysia and Brunei. And let's ask ourselves this question. If ICET, the protests in KL, right, at that time was that the ICET will undermine the Malay privilege, and it's against Islamic principles, etc., etc. Now, let's ask ourselves this question. If ICET is against Islam and the Muslim world, now how come 55 out of 57 of the countries in the OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries, ratified it? None of the nations which have ratified the ICET are perfect societies. We all know that. But they have made a global statement that they are against any form of racism and discrimination. And they have agreed to come under an international standard for peer review and have agreed to address racism and discrimination in their societies. So I'm going to put that in the context of kind of whether or not we have a mature society, a mature system, and a mature democracy. Now, the viewers can take this into consideration and decide for yourselves whether or not we actually have a matured system. And as far as the opposition goes, Dato mentioned the importance of an opposition. And I cannot agree, I cannot agree like even more. Because the purpose of the opposition is not to oppose the ruling party on each and every subject with the objective of kicking them out. The opposition itself should instead exist to ensure that the whole system operates within the core democratic principles. And there is a choice for the people for better governance if they so decide in the future. Basically what I'm saying, Datuk, is 100% I agree with what you said. The opposition is there as a form of check and balance, but opposition has to understand their purpose to begin with.
That's it?
Yeah, that's
okay,
it.
thank you. Dr. Asri,
Yes.
anything that you want to comment on specifically or raise
Okay.
in this final round?
I would rather look forward. So on my part, I would like to focus on G15 and the subsequent elections. Now, with regard to G15, I also would like to mention about Undi 18. Because this is where they will tilt the balance into any one of those political parties' favors. Now, speaking of on the 18, now since we have already have this democratization of information going, so I would suggest that we inculcate more. Kita galakkan lagi. We encourage more of this democratization of information, right? So now. In relation to that, I would like to suggest that we have more events like this one. Political debates online. Now, I cannot but sense that we keep blaming on the politicians, but we are the ones who put them there. They are also part of these politicians. They are also
They are
the
here to
voters.
stay,
They are also the people. They also have the right. Now,
Why isn't there anyone defending them, right?
and now these politicians are very powerful people. So instead of, like Dr. Rahman said just now, instead of demonizing them, why don't we use them as part of this political change for maturity, right? So we use them. Now we use these politicians, opposition and the government, and as agents for political maturity. How? So we get them to hold more programs like this one. We have them political debates, even at kampung level lah, kan? People are vying for ketua cawangan kah. Let them have these political debates di kedai-kedai sana, kan? Kalau di Bengawan, Pekan Bengawan, kita tengok. Ketua warisan debate dengan against UMNO and against APCO kah. Let them. So we should encourage more like this one. Now, that is a political freedom lah, right? So we would like to have more debates, and also I would like the government to continue on this path right now, relaxing these laws against the students, AUKU, kan? And then stick to what we have right now and improve them more further, right? Like Mr. Chazali said, institutional reforms. But those reforms will mean nothing without the participation of the people. And this participation of people will produce nothing without the participation of our politicians. We need more politicians like Mr. Nelson. We need more politicians like Dato' Rahman, even more. Right? These are people who are open to debates, open to ideas. So we should have politicians like this even more. So now, on the 18, I think we need to be very careful with these generations, right? Because they have access of information. They have all types of information without restrictions.
No political loyalty.
No political loyalty. See, G15, most of them went for PH. And recently, from the last 5 by-elections, they went the other side. So these people, I'm not saying that these people are not trusted. No, but these people have a very different ideas of politics of today and tomorrow. So now, we like to have more media freedom. Even now, even now, we have this internet TV, kan? So if you don't agree with TV3, you switch it off, then go online, see UMNO TV, see PKR TV, see I'm not sure if APCO has its own TV.
Belum lagi nanti.
Belum, not yet. So very soon. So now let's have this. Don't worry about this. People, politicians hopping, politicians not hopping. I'm not sure. In this regard, I would like to raise one point lah. I think Dr. Rahman has a very meritorious idea, but you see, in the U.S., especially in European countries lah, in Belgium, Dutch, Holland, I think political parties forming coalition, re-coalition, new coalition, it is something normal. It is perfectly normal because they want to prevent a government from being too strong. That is why, and always, so when you keep the politicians on their toes, you get them accountable to the people. See, this is good. This is good. You prevent them from being too strong and get to rule the country for 100 years. And now let them change. Coalition, new coalition, no problem. This is the rights of the people. What are we being afraid of? This country is rich. And 2 trillion, that's all, no problem. And if not for the virus, I think we already have this by-election. So don't worry, I'm very optimistic. So now, going forward, now we have this political freedom. Going forward, also we need to, like I said, I would stand by my argument just now. We have this system, this plate, round plate or rectangular plate. If we have this round plate, keep it that way. Or if you want to introduce reforms, it is okay. as long as it is within, those reforms are done within what I would say maqasid syariah lah. Now maqasid syariah is like a keyword lah. Every politicians can like to say this maqasid syariah. So now these reforms, whatever the purpose of these reforms are, they should serve to protect life, intellect, religion, property, and lineage. So this maqasid syariah, coming back to Mr. Shazali just now, it's human rights. Those rights I have no position against. But as long as they are within this, the system that has served as the foundation of this country, yes, maqasid sharia is very important. Now, how do we go along? How do we reconcile these human rights and the maqasid sharia? That is up for our politicians. That's why we need mature politicians like Mr. Nelson, Dr. Rahman here. Now, my advice for my students out there, now most of them will be able to vote in the coming election. So what you should vote for? You vote for outcome-based politicians, outcome-based parties, like Dr. Rahman mentioned just now. Never trust them. This is the open submission. So never trust them.
That's a very strong statement, right? Never
Very
trust the politician.
Including me, yeah.
We judge them based on their actions. That is what matters. Their words, their actions, and what they can deliver. You judge them, you vote them based on this. Not because of their good look. Don't be fooled by the good look of Mr. Nelson. Don't be fooled by the good look of Dr. Rahman. And they are all people. But you judge them based on their actions just now. So that is the basis for your vote. Yes? Do not limit yourself to your sentiments. Go beyond. We are better than this. Go beyond our sentiments. Go beyond our ethnic. Go beyond our religion. Go beyond our locality. But now we stick to outcome-based politicians. And those who deliver, those who have delivered, those who have the potential to deliver, that's what we vote for. That's what we should vote for. What they do with our vote later on, I think that's beyond our control. If they betray our trust, then we punish them in the next election. Don't go to the streets. It's okay. You go online. Get things done. Don't worry. Everything will be fine. I'm very hopeful of the future of this country. And I'm very happy when the government changed just recently. I'm very happy, actually. I'm very surprised. You did not end up like my generation. Going to the streets, blah, 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 blah. And then balik rumah, complain kena belasah dengan FRU. I mean, this is not the way forward. And if you're strong, you have strong opinions against the politicians' actions, you raise them in Facebook. Anyway, is your crying wall, right? Facebook, your Twitter, your whatever social media platforms you have. So that's it. I'll conclude my round. And if OPCO is not happy, you're always welcome to invite me over.
Okay,
I like this guy. This guy has strong ideas. You know, we need more people like this. Shariza, Mr. Nelson, and Dr. Rahman. Also, Dr. Arnold. Thank you very much.
You concluded well, my brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, I think we have come to the conclusion of our talk this morning. It's for me personally, it has been a very intellectually stimulating discussion. Maybe it's a bit short, tapi banyak yang saya belajar daripada kita punya ahli panelis. Well, we are all very optimistic about our country, about our system. Seperti kata Asri tadi, kalau kita lihat pergolakan politik di Malaysia, the good thing about it is that the transition of power was basically quite smooth. GE14 pun perkara yang sama juga berlaku. Yes. There are defects in the system, but again, we are thankful because unlike the other third world countries, perkara yang seperti ini mungkin akan menyebabkan pertelingkahan, peperangan dan sebagainya. Tapi di Malaysia masih aman, masih peaceful. Itu yang seharusnya kita thankful for. Well, if I can get a few points from our panelists regarding our topic this morning. We are there, we are all very optimistic, but there are more works to be done. Saudara Sazali bercakap tentang kepentingan untuk reform our institution, untuk melihat political maturity at play. Kemudian Asri juga ada berkata tentang kepentingan untuk kita melihat kembali kita punya educational system, di mana kita memberikan peluang kepada pelajar untuk belajar lebih banyak tentang political system, political issues, and so on and so forth. Well, I think we are going to have perhaps a different debate on what is happening in our country. Sebab Dr. Rahman ada point of view tentang peralihan kuasa 1994, peralihan kuasa beberapa minggu yang lepas. Nelson juga mempunyai pandangan yang berbeza. Tapi walaupun pandangan yang berbeza, kita masih dapat duduk di sini dan berbincang secara civil, secara intellectual. This is what political maturity is all about, and this is what we are hoping to see more in Sabah, especially.
Especially the media.
The media.
The
Yes,
media.
The media.
Before you conclude, if I can just get 1 minute of your time, I'm not gonna answer that.
Okay, I'm start counting now.
Just the media.
Yeah.
I believe we have not spoken about the mainstream media in Sabah. How I wish that journalists, when they see politicians, especially the ministers, because they are the executive power, they are able to grill these ministers of what they're doing. What I see right now, we have a serious lack of serious journalists. Now, without looking down at them, and I have no intention of doing so, most of our journalists are, I wouldn't call it superficial, but it's really not a career journalist per se. They just go, they have questions to ask, but the follow-up questions is not probing enough of the government of the day. So apa yang berlaku ialah bila wartawan tanya menteri-menteri dan wakil-wakil rakyat dan sebagainya, dia akan bertanya satu soalan, lepas tu menteri jawab, the second follow-up question, third follow-up questions and all that is really meaningless. So what I really need, how I wish macam Daily Express, Sabah Times, Borneo Post, Utusan Borneo, ada stringer di Parlimen, di Kuala Lumpur dan juga di Putrajaya, supaya isu yang ada kaitan dengan negeri Sabah juga boleh dilihat, ditanya. I agree, I believe Nelson will agree with that, Dr. Asri will. The media plays a very important role as well as the NGO and the academicians. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're focusing on the media. They are playing a very important role as well. Okay, I think that's the end of our talk this morning. Before we end, I would like to make an announcement. Kita ada satu lagi program yang kita akan adakan minggu hadapan pada 20 hari bulan Mac. Okay, kita akan mengadakan satu seminar, and the title of the seminar is Young, Educated but Poor and Jobless in Sabah. So it's going to be held in UiTM Sabah, and the speaker of the talk is Dr. Muhammad Abdul Khalid. Kita semua mungkin kenal beliau. Beliau adalah penulis buku The Color of Inequality. Beliau adalah penulis buku The Color of Inequality. Beliau akan datang menyampaikan seminar. And please do stay tuned on our Facebook Live. If you have any comments, please comment. If you have any question, please post your question there. And please do not forget to like our Facebook page as well. Well, that's it for today. Thank you very much for your patience. Tidak ada soalan yang mengancam. Okey, saya serahkan kepada saudara Tony.
Halo. Terima kasih, begitu hebat sungguh para panelis kita pada hari ini. Saya pun banyak belajar. So we learn many things. What more when we are talking about mature versus sentiment-based politics. So we are hoping, being as a young generation, we are hoping for mature politics. Yeah. So dengan itu, we have come to our end of this session. So sebelum itu, saya sukacita ingin menjemput Dr. Arnold sebagai moderator dan juga pengurusi SEEDS untuk menyampaikan sedikit pada mata daripada SEEDS. Tidak banyak, tidak besar, tetapi adalah untuk bacaan bila balik nanti. So dengan itu saya
just for your information, this is our first book. The title of the book is Looking Forward, Looking Back, Moving Forward Towards a Progressive Society in Sabah. If you look at the writers, kebanyakannya adalah member of SEEDS. Ini adalah buku pertama SEEDS. Dan kita akan menerbitkan satu lagi buku, juga berkaitan tentang isu-isu contemporary di Sabah. Dan kalau ada yang berminat untuk beli buku ini, bolehlah beli. Harganya berapa, Tony? RM20 saja. You can get back to me ataupun Tony, dan bolehlah membeli buku ini. To support us, because we are an NGO, we are doing this on a voluntary basis. Memang kita perlukan sokongan daripada daripada orang-orang Sabah lah. Okey, Tony.
Okey, dijemput Dr. Arnold untuk menghadiahkan buku ini kepada Pak Ali Al-Penat.
Okay. Datuk, I think you have this copy kan, Datuk? I think you have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind another copy.
Oh, okay.
Let's just have some.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
So, Nelson, I think you. So Nelson is one of the writers in this book as well. Don't forget.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Doktor, saya tanda sekejap. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So, brother, thank you very much, man.
Don't criticize.
Much. Yeah. Thanks. And Asri is also one of the writers, right?
Yes.
Okay. Come. Okay. Alright.
Alright. Dengan itu sekian saja, nanti berjumpa lagi di sesi dan sit talk yang akan datang. Thank you very much.